Mayor, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council for August 19, 2021, to order at 7 p.m. On roll call, council members Balistrary.
Here.
Fakori. Fasolo, absent. Golubek.
Here.
Pellegrin.
Here.
Council President Wetchler.
Here.
Mayor Coletti.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Erin, and we'd like to welcome everyone here this evening. Looks like we have a wonderful, wonderful summer night outside. It's good to see this many people in our audience. We have a lot to do this evening, so let's get started. Could everyone please rise for our prayer and flag salute? Oh God, we ask you to bless our meeting, which we entrust to your care and protection. Please remove all selfishness and prejudice from our hearts and implant therein a keen sense of justice and a greater love for you and our neighbor. Guide us in our deliberations so that our decisions will always please you and bring your peace and happiness to our community. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Whereas Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of the State of New Jersey require at the commencement of every meeting a statement of compliance be read by the presiding officer. Now, therefore, be advised that the meeting requirements for this meeting have been met by publishing an annual notice in the Record, in the Herald News of Woodland Park, and by posting such notice in the office of the Borough Clerk, as well as in a public place within the municipal building, and by notifying interested citizens. Notice was posted on August 5th, 2021, and published on August 9th, 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is being videotaped and will be on Cablevision, channel 77 on Mondays, plural, at 3 p.m. and Thursdays at 11:30 a.m. The video will also be available on the Borough website at www.elmwoodparknewjersey.us. Erin?
Thank you, Mayor. First on the agenda this evening, we have two special resolutions. The first being Resolution R-290-21, promotion to Lieutenant Michael Golden. Be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that the following name be and is hereby appointed as Provisional Police Lieutenant for pension and CSC-related purposes in the Police Department of the Borough of Elmwood Park effective August 20th, 2021 as follows. Michael Golden. Now therefore be it resolved that said appointment is in accordance with the New Jersey Civil Service Commission rules and regulations, and be it further resolved that the above named is entitled to the salary compliant with the current PBA collective bargaining agreement as per agreement between the officials of the Elmwood Park PBA local number 185 and the Borough of Elmwood Park.
I believe we need a motion on that, Erin?
That's correct, Mayor.
So moved.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
First by Pellegrin, second by Wetchler. On roll call, council members Balistrary.
Yes.
Fakori. Fasolo, absent. Golubek.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Council President Wetchler.
Yes.
Motion carries. At this time, if Mr. Golden can come up on the dais to be sworn in by Mayor Robert Coletti alongside Police Chief Foligno and Police Commissioner Councilwoman Pellegrin alongside his family.
Yes.
Okay, let me start off with a wonderful family you have here, huh? Would you agree? We've done this before, so it shouldn't be too hard, right? We've been here. All proud of your daddy? I'm sure you are, sir. It's good moments. I,
Michael Golden,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and alliance
and alliance
to the same and to the government established
to the same and the government established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of the office of
of the office of
Lieutenant
Lieutenant
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
How did yours get delivered? Are you surprised?
Council's going to have comments, but we're going to wait until the second swearing in. Then they'll do it all.
Congratulations. Okay, our next resolution is Resolution R-291-21, promotion to Sergeant Christopher Finn. Be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that the following named being is hereby appointed as Police Sergeant in the Police Department of the Borough of Elmwood Park, effective August 20th, 2021, as follows: Christopher Finn. Now therefore be it resolved that said appointment is in accordance with the New Jersey Civil Service Commission rules and regulations. And be it further resolved that the above named is entitled to the salary compliant with the current PBA collective bargaining agreement as per agreement between the officials of the Elmwood Park PBA Local Number 185 and the Borough of Elmwood Park.
Motion, please. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Council members Balistrary,
Yes.
Fakori, Fasolo, absent, Golubek,
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Council President Wetchler.
Yes.
Motion carries. At this time, if Mr. Finn can please come up to the dais to be sworn in by Mayor Robert Coletti alongside Police Chief Feligno and Police Commissioner Councilwoman Lorraine Pellegrin alongside his family.
Let them see this beautiful family. Another beautiful family, right? Congratulations on that. Are you? I
Christopher Finn,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of
and the Constitution of
the State of New Jersey,
the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments
and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority
under the authority
of the people,
of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office of
all the duties of the office of
Sergeant
Sergeant
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Okay, a few words from our chief on
Yes,
the
Mayor, thank you.
promotions.
I'd like to just read two quick bios, short bios on the officers. Michael Golden, lieutenant now, graduated from Montclair State University in 2004, was hired in Elmwood Park in '06. He was assigned to the Patrol Division for 10 years before being placed in the Detective Bureau in 2016. After spending close to 4 years in the Bureau, he was promoted to sergeant in August 2020. He has spent his entire career in law enforcement with the Borough of Elmwood Park. Christopher Finn, now Sergeant Finn, 21 years combined law enforcement experience. Began his career in law enforcement in 2000 as a correction officer in the New Jersey Department of Corrections at East Jersey State Prison in Rahway. After 5 years, he transferred to the Palisade Interstate Parkway Police Department, where he served as a highway patrol officer for 8 years. Chris joined the Elmwood Park Police Department in 2013, serving as a patrolman before being appointed to the Detective Bureau in 2020. Chris is married with 2 daughters, and obviously Mike is too, with 2 daughters. Congratulations on that, guys. So, guys earned this. This is not a handout. These guys truly earned the position, not only by their test scores, but by their abilities, by their leadership qualities, by their commitment to the profession, commitment to the Borough of Elmwood Park and its residents. I could say that both of them are strong leaders that don't forget where they came from, and they care about their subordinate officers. They're fair and firm, and they're going to do an outstanding job in their new positions. Looking forward to your leadership abilities, guys. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I'm going to do something I never did before in a situation like this, but we have a Pastor Ron with us this evening, and I'd love for him to bless these two new promotions on these 2 new people. Would you please, Pastor Ron?
Come on up, Pastor.
There you go.
Talking about being put on a spot.
I know. Good evening, everyone. Okay. Oh, this way? Eternal, can we bow our heads, please? Eternal God, our Father, we thank you. We thank you for this day, for this is the day that you have made, and we will rejoice in it. Father God, I just ask you right now to protect these 2 policemen. Keep them, give them the fortitude, give them the wisdom in how they do their duty, how they protect the people of Elmwood Park. Each day, dispatch your heavenly angels around them. Give them divine protection. Make all of their words be just, and keep them like only you know how. We thank you, we honor your dominion and your majesty, and we all say, amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now you 2 officers not only got your chief's blessing, but you got God's blessing also. So that's a good way to start off. Councilwoman Ballesteri.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to say congratulations to Lieutenant Golden and Sergeant Finn. You both are true leaders. These promotions are well-deserved. I wish you much success in your new positions as you continue your career here with this fine police department. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Fakori.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to wish both of you good luck on your new job. Be safe out there, please, and just take care of yourself and take care of this community. Thank you so much.
Councilman Golubek.
Lieutenant Golden and Sergeant Finn, my sincere congratulations. Very well deserved, and I wish you both all the very best. Thank you.
Councilwoman Pellegrin.
Microphone isn't working. Oh, here we go. Okay, congratulations, Lieutenant Golden and Sergeant Finn, on your promotions tonight. Your commitment and dedication to our community is evident in all that you do. I wish you both continued success in your new roles, and I pray that you will always stay safe. Also, congratulations to your beautiful families. It's truly a proud night for all of you to enjoy.
This next lady actually was mayor for one day. She had a situation where I couldn't be here, and she presided over the meeting. So what do I call you, councilwoman, or do I call you deputy mayor? I think deputy mayor works on this one, okay?
Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you for all your hard work for this town. My microphone's on. Yeah, it's on. I promise you it's on.
Into it, Mayor.
I'd like to thank you for all your hard work. You worked hard to get this promotion, both of you, and I know you're fantastic with it. You're with this family. You know, I always call you my angels, all the police officers here. The Reverend blessed you. I bless all our angels here, all our police officers. And I thank you both families for giving us your time and energy with this town to protect everybody, because you are our protectors. Thank you so much, and be safe out there, please.
Well, gentlemen, you know what is expected. You've had a taste of it. You know what our chief expects of you and his ranking subordinates. So there's nothing new here. To your tribute, you did advance, moving up, and that's a great thing. I think we all in life have short-term goals and long-term goals, and you certainly reached a short-term goal. But for the people out in the audience, we take our police force very serious. This council is in full support of the blue, always will be, and we spend a lot of time, our officers spend a lot of time with the community. And that kind of mix is probably what we'd like to see throughout the whole United States, and maybe someday we will. But here in Elmwood Park, I think we're doing a good job. I'll brag about it, and I think all these members of this council and our BA and the police force should take a bow on that. So I'm going to ask your applause for them. Erin?
Mayor, at this time, we do need a motion to enter into executive session.
All in favor?
Can I just make a suggestion that, because we have so many people, we go into the back?
Yes,
Because-
we are
That's
already.
where we were going, Daniel.
Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, and whereas the governing body wishes to discuss legal matters, minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires that confidentiality, then the minutes can be made public. Now therefore be it resolved that the public be excluded from this meeting.
Okay, we'll be probably about 30 minutes. Unfortunately, we have to do this at this point of the meeting. So you're welcome to stay. Like I said, 25 minutes, 35 minutes, we'll be back. But we tried to move it along, but there was a lot to be done.
Mayor, we need a motion to go back into public session.
All in favor?
Actually, I need a second as well,
Oh,
sorry.
second, I'm sorry.
All in favor? Okay, moving on with the rest of our agenda, we have ordinances being read on first reading. Resolution R-292-21, introduced ordinance number 21-17 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance by the Borough of Elmwood Park in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, amending Municipal Code 34-59.1, site plan review to include mandatory application to zoning board for review and approval of warehouse or storage facility construction encompassing 75,000 square feet of property or more, be passed and adopted on first reading. And be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, September 16, 2021 at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter, same can be heard, at which time any persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and she is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
May I have a motion?
Second.
Discussion? I'd like to say that this is the first reading on this ordinance, and things can change on it going forward. But that's all I have to say about it. Call the roll, please.
First by Wetchler, second by Pellegrini. On roll call, council members Balistrary.
Yes.
Fakori. Vasolo, absent. Golubek.
Yes.
Pellegrini.
Yes.
Council President Wetchler.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-293-21, introduced ordinance number 21-18 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Administration, more specifically Article 3 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, titled Department of the Local Government, more specifically Section 2-27, entitled Police Department, more specifically Section 2-27.1, entitled Creation of the Department Members, be passed and adopted on first reading. And be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, September 16, 2021, at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter, same can be heard, at which time any persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and she is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
May I have a motion on the ordinance?
So moved.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Balistrary.
Yes.
Fakori. Vasolo, absent. Golubek. Pellegrini.
Yes.
And Council President Wetchler.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-294-21, introduced ordinance number 21-19 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance to amend Chapter 3, Police Regulations of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, more specifically Article 3-8.1, parking of vehicles on front lawns or along roadways, be passed and adopted on first reading. And be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, September 16, 2021, at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter, same can be heard, at which time any persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and she is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
Mike, would you like to break this down for us, please?
Yeah, this is the parking stall ordinance. We added parking stalls on Market Street, Mola Boulevard, and certain other streets up in the Elmwood Village area so that we can get more vehicles properly parked on the streets. We need an ordinance that if those vehicles don't park within those stalls, they would be ticketed. That's what this ordinance is for, Mayor.
So, Mike, by adding these stalls, it's more efficient. The cars know where to park and with whatever their boundaries are. And this way, we're not wasting any space on the road.
Correct, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion on the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Balistrary.
Yes.
Fakori. Vasolo, absent. Golubek.
Yes.
Pellegrini.
Yes.
Council President Wetchler.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-295-21, introduced ordinance number 21-20 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance establishing a four-way stop at the intersections of Martha Avenue and Ann Street and Kip Avenue and Ann Street, and to amend Chapter 7 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, titled Traffic, more specifically Section 7-21, titled Multi-Way Stop Intersections, be passed and adopted on first reading. And be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, September 16, 2021, at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter, same can be heard, at which time any persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and she is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
On roll call, council members Balistrary.
Yes.
Fakori. Vasolo, absent. Golubek.
Yes.
Pellegrini.
Yes.
Council President Wetchler.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-296-21, introduced ordinance number 21-21 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance establishing a one-stop at 14th Avenue and 53rd Street, and to amend Chapter 7 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, titled Traffic, more specifically Section 7-20, titled Stop Intersections, be passed and adopted on first reading. And be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, September 16, 2021, at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter, same can be heard, at which time any persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and she is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
Motion on the ordinance.
So moved.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
On roll call, council members Balistrary.
Yes.
Fakori. Fasolo, absent. Golubek?
Yes.
Pellegrin?
Yes.
Council President Wetchler?
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to ordinances being introduced on second reading. Introduced ordinance number 21-16 on second reading. Whereas a public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance to amend Chapter 7 Traffic of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, more specifically Article 7-13.1, parking prohibited at all times on certain streets, was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, July 15th, 2021, and that further consideration of this ordinance would be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same, now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance to amend Chapter 7 Traffic of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, more specifically Article 7-13.1, parking prohibited at all times on certain streets, pass on final reading.
May I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the public care to speak on this ordinance and this ordinance alone? Please, sir, please come forward, give us your name, address.
My name is Louis Debsky, and I live at 614th Avenue.
That's not this one, sir.
That's not this one, that's why I was asking whether this is it. Okay, thank you, so. I'll come back when my turn comes.
Did we pass through that one?
That was the first reading. He can speak on 14th Avenue.
At the end, the public session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, what we're saying, sir, is at the end of we go through our ordinances and the readings, then the council reports, then we open it to the public again, and that's when you could speak. You kind of missed the boat on it, for the moment anyhow. Right? Correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that was on introduction. There's no public hearing on introduction.
Okay. Anyone else from the public care to speak on this ordinance? If not, I'll close the public portion. Aaron?
Mayor, we need a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Balistrary,
Yes.
Fakori, Fasolo, absent. Golubek?
Yes.
Pellegrin?
Yes.
Council President Wetchler?
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-298-21, reintroduce ordinance number 21-13 on second reading. Whereas a public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the Borough of Elmwood Park, New Jersey, amending the Borough Code and all general ordinances of the borough, more specifically Chapter 8, marijuana dispensaries and paraphernalia, Chapter 34, zoning site plan review, Section 34-3.1, Section 34-7.3, Section 34-7.4, Section 34-31, Section 34-44.1, and Section 34-44.2 to permit and govern legal cannabis and marijuana operations within the Borough of Elmwood Park, was reintroduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, July 15, 2021, and that further consideration of this ordinance would be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same at the scheduled public hearing on Thursday, July 15, 2021. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the Borough of Elmwood Park, New Jersey, amending the Borough Code and all general ordinances of the borough, more specifically Chapter 8, marijuana dispensaries and paraphernalia, Chapter 34, zoning site plan review, Section 34-3.1, Section 34-7.3, Section 34-7.4, Section 34-31, Section 34-44.1, and Section 34-44.2 to permit and govern legal cannabis and marijuana operations within the Borough of Elmwood Park, passed on final reading.
May I have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved.
Any discussion?
We don't open it, we did the public hearing.
Approved, I believe that the council is aware, and I will make them aware of the fact that the planning board has sent a recommendation on the letter dated July 15, 2021 from their attorney, whereby the planning board is advising the mayor and council that on their July 14, 2021 regular meeting, the planning board heard the presentation of Chris Cooley of Topology. The the borough appointed planner for this ordinance. And after having heard his testimony and review of the evidence and discussion by the board voted to advise the council that it is in disagreement and opposes the ordinance presented by the mayor and council. And should the council vote affirmatively on the ordinance, that the ordinance should be amended as to section 4-73C, that the borough may issue a maximum of one Class 1 license and a maximum of one Class 2 license. Now, in view of the fact that this letter of this approval from the planning board has been provided, I had asked Mr. Cooley to be here from topology, and it is the obligation of this council to consider the recommendation of the planning board, and if the council wishes to accommodate the planning board and their recommendation, then this ordinance would not be introduced. However, because of the time limitation that we have by statute to either approve this ordinance or we will be barred for 5 years not to be able to introduce any kind of ordinance, it is imperative that the mayor and council address this issue now. And by statute, with regards to the municipal land use statute, the borough council has to state the rational reasons why you are going to overrule, if you so want to, overrule the recommendation of the planning board. If that is your intent, then I would have Mr. Cooley from the topology present what he had presented to the board, and based on his presentation, you can reconsider the basis and set forth rational reasons why you are either going to approve the ordinance without taking into consideration the planning board's recommendation, which you have the statutory right to do. So at this juncture, if any motion is made, I would rather you listen to at least the presentation that topology will have, and I will ask some questions to sort of clarify some issues, and you may have the enlightenment as to the basis of what you can rely on to overrule the recommendation.
Chris?
Can you come up?
You're on.
Welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
For the basis of the record, would you state your full name and
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thank you, Mr. Ingraffia. My name is Christopher Colley, last name Colley, and I work for the planning firm Topology NJ LLC. We're a planning firm based in Newark, and we are the borough planners for Elmwood Park.
and you've had the opportunity of reviewing all of the ordinance itself for a period of over 3 months, I believe, that you've been working on it. Is that correct?
That sounds about right, yeah.
And you made a presentation before the planning board?
I did, yeah. I attended the planning board meeting in July to provide an overview of the ordinance. I'll provide a summary of that if you'd like right now, and I guess it'd be helpful for folks in attendance to also have an understanding of what's in the ordinance. As the borough attorney mentions, we're here this evening to consider an ordinance relating to legalization of various cannabis uses here in the borough of Elmwood Park. Just a brief bit of background, and I'll keep this relatively short this evening. the state passed a law in February legalizing or creating 6 different types of cannabis licenses. This came following the referendum of last year that was passed at the state level, and I'll also note was voted 64%, I believe, of Elmwood Park residents voted in favor of to legalize cannabis and to sort of set this whole process in motion. So generally, that law created 6 different types of licenses for different types of cannabis businesses: cultivators, manufacturers, wholesalers, distributors, retailers, and delivery services. The borough ordinance that's being considered tonight addresses all 6 of those. The law also importantly created a 6-month period where municipalities had the opportunity to prohibit the operation of any of those establishments in their borders. That deadline is rapidly approaching and is coming up on August 21st. So just like quick little overview of what's actually in this ordinance. This ordinance takes the 6 different types of licenses that are created and generally breaks them into 2 types. One being the cannabis retailer, cannabis dispensary, which is the Class 5 license, and the other one being what the ordinance calls cannabis suppliers. So those are cultivators, manufacturers, wholesalers, and distributors. And I'll give an overview of what the regulations are for each of those. So for suppliers, which are sort of the more industrial type uses, the proposed zoning ordinance this evening would conditionally permit those uses in the existing industrial zones in Elmwood Park with certain conditions. Those conditions are: 1, sufficient odor mitigation to eliminate the appearance or the odor, yeah, thank you, smell from adjacent properties and rights of way; 2, sound mitigation to limit sound impacts on adjacent properties; 3, a 500-foot buffer to schools; and 4, no outdoor cultivation. So anybody pursuing a use of that type under the zoning ordinance would be required to meet each of those conditions in their application to the planning board. I'll just add before I move to cannabis retailers, if a municipality fails to act and fails to pass a law regulating these uses by the deadline, those uses would be permitted as of right in any industrial zone, period. So the second one relates to cannabis retailers or dispensaries. The ordinance this evening conditionally permits those in CG zones, again with conditions. The CG zones are generally like your more intensive commercial zones. They're generally on your major roads. So the conditions for dispensaries are: 1, it's a geographic condition that limits them to select blocks along sort of the corner of Market and Midland being one area, and Route 46 between MOLA and the Garden State Parkway. Only properties fronting on 46 there. And same sort of set of conditions: odor mitigation, sound mitigation, no visible products, and a 500-foot school buffer. So there's some other provisions throughout the ordinance which or the borough attorney is probably better suited to speak to me than me about licenses, taxes, security requirements, and whatnot. So that's generally the overview of the ordinance. I'll say that the purpose, really, one of the major purposes of presenting to the planning board is to speak to master plan consistency. So I'll give the council the benefit of that just for a moment. Really what this ordinance does, in my opinion, is it permits industrial-style cannabis uses in existing industrial zones and retail cannabis uses in existing retail zones. I think that's consistent with the master plan of the borough and with the zone plan of the borough. It touches on a lot of the sort of master plan objectives we see in those documents, preserving and enhancing the borough's commercial areas, reinforcing the borough's industrial areas, promoting the reuse of industrial sites, and sort of reviewing, modernizing commercial and industrial uses throughout the borough. So that's the sort of summary of the ordinance in relation to the master plan, and that's the extent of what I have to say.
An opportunity of comparing this particular ordinance with the master plan and the zoning ordinances that we have right now. Is that correct?
I have, yeah.
And does this in any way affect or detrimentally the use and the implementation of this ordinance? Would it detrimentally affect any area with regards to the zoning code at this time?
As I said, these are, in my opinion, industrial style uses going into industrial zones and retail style uses going into retail zones.
And you are aware that the deadline for the approval of this particular ordinance
That's correct.
And if we don't approve or have this ordinance in effect, that at this particular junction, anyone can come into this particular town and put up any kind of plant or anything anywhere they want.
I mean, they would need to have the state licenses, but those uses would be permitted in the zones as outlined in the statute passed by the state.
And you had the opportunity of presenting these particular points to the planning board at the time.
I did, yeah. And just to clarify the last point, like, mostly right? I mean, industrial uses could go into all industrial zones, and retail uses could go in all retail zones, but somebody couldn't put anything up anywhere.
All right, Mayor and Council, I have to feel that it is necessary for us to go through this because we have to justify if this council does approve this ordinance at this time, contrary to the opinion and recommendation of the planning board, this particular presentation is required to show that what reasons the mayor and council is utilizing. And I would hold that under the circumstances, the planning board, based on the letter presented, made a decision and a recommendation not to approve the ordinance, period. As though, in their view, they must have felt that we should not have any kind of ordinance regarding the control of cannabis or use of it. But on the contrary, they also acknowledged by the letter that they might have felt that you in fact would have adopted anyway, and they requested that you consider the limitation on the licensing. Now, in preparing this ordinance, there was many discussions that we've had at hearings and close executive sessions, whereby we have discussed the contents of the ordinance and the rational reason why you have picked to allow 2 of each classes. And it is important to note that the discussion was that that allows a competitive edge between 2 rather than giving a monopoly to 1. It also should be noted that the implementation and the approval of this ordinance would also grant and allow the municipality to receive tax revenue, which is going to be considerable, because the ordinance allows a filing fees for each of the various categories, and the ordinance speaks that the filing fees for each may be up from $40,000 a year to $10,000 a year for each various category, plus a potential of 2.5% of their gross sales that this municipality would gain in tax revenue. So that can be a very considerable sum of money. And by failing to not approve this ordinance prior to the 21st of this month, the town will lose out on that potential revenue. So I feel under the circumstances that the council at this point can, based on the rationalization presented at this point and my presentation, to overrule the planning board and approve the ordinance at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Ingraffia. And thank you also, Mr. Colley. We appreciate those words by both of you. And that brings us, by the way, the public hearing on this ordinance was held on July 15, 2021. That brings us to a vote. Does the council have any questions before we come to a vote?
I'm sorry, we don't need to do a public hearing on the adoption?
We did the public hearing in July because that's when it was originally advertised for.
Okay. So are we at a discussion phase?
Discussion, yes.
Sure.
You're in discussion. You're still in.
Sal, we had the public hearing in July because it had to be reintroduced, and that's when it was advertised for. So the public hearing already took place July 15th.
Okay, so that
Discussion.
brings us to a vote, council.
I have discussion, just some quick points.
Yeah.
Just to the borough attorney's point about, stating for the record our position, and I concur with the borough attorney and everything that the planner said. For me, the overwhelming majority of the voters of Elmwood Park chose to vote to legalize marijuana. That's number one. I take that seriously. Number two, there is a considerable tax benefit to having this regulated business in our town. We have very few opportunities as a municipality where we have new potential streams of revenue. They don't come around very often. That's number two. And the third, I want to assure the residents, and this is important, that the council and mayor and council as a body and all our professionals took great care and a lot of meetings to go through all of these issues point by point, to look at our maps, to look at our zoning, and come up with what we thought was reasonable to potentially have these kind of businesses come in while creating buffers around school districts, creating buffers around houses of worship. We took all the factors into account in coming up with this, and I believe we should move forward and that it will not negatively impact the community, and if anything, positively impact the community.
Anyone else care to speak? Well, I could tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, a night like this, with a topic like this, you don't want to be sitting up here because there's conflicting thoughts that run through your mind, morally speaking and objectively looking at the dollars that could be generated. So it's very difficult for this council, and as Daniel had said, it's well vetted. We just didn't sit in a room and say, okay, what do you think? What do you think? We had professionals that advised us, as you saw tonight. We even took the steps of considering the planning board's resolve on the matter. So let's take it to the vote.
Okay, Mayor, we previously had a motion by Council President Wetchler. We need a second.
Call the roll, please.
First by Wetchler, second by Fakori. On roll call, council members Balistrary,
Yes.
Fakori, Fasolo, absent, Golubek,
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Council President Wetchler.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, moving on to our consent agenda.
Take a deep breath. This is a long one.
Resolution R-299-21, approval of payroll. R-300-21, approval of bills list. R-301-21, resolution to redeem third-party tax lien. R-302-21, resolution to redeem third-party tax lien. Resolution 303-21, authorizing Borough Special Planner of the Borough of Elmwood Park to conduct a preliminary redevelopment investigation study for Block 1808, Lots 7 and 9, Route 46 West. Resolution R-304-21, authorized purchase of equipment, Say-So Police Department. R-305-21, authorized purchase of equipment, Packatuck Police Department. R-306-21, authorized change order number 2 and current estimate number 4, Tuella Avenue water main improvements. R-307-21, award proposal for miscellaneous services, Alimo Group PSC&G project. R-308-21, appoint keyboard and clerk 1, Samantha Hebda, Recreation Department. R-309-21, approve Elmwood Park Fire Department stipend program, second quarter compensation. R-310-21, award of bid 2021 townwide drainage improvements, Regal Utility Services, Inc. R-311-21, establishing compensation for additional duties. R-312-21, appointment of recreation staff for the 2021 summer program, Recreation Department. R-313-21, appointment of counselors for the 2021-2022 school year, after school program, Recreation Department. R-314-21, resolution authorizing the approval for the Borough of Elmwood Park to enter into a franchise agreement with Signal Outdoor Advertising LLC, DBA Insight Street Media, granting an exclusive franchise to build, erect, and maintain within the Borough of Elmwood Park all bus stop shelters. R-315-21, Authority NJSA 40A4-39, dedication by rider resolution requesting permission by dedication by rider for donations for honoring Senior Citizens Day, R-316-21, resolution of the mayor and council of the Borough of Elmwood Park authorizing the execution of an interim cost agreement with Jadwiga Debski and Frank Lapshinsky with respect to the request that the property designated at Block 1808, Lot 7 and 9, R-317-21, resignation of firefighter, R-318-21, resolution authorizing the use of the all-purpose room, VFW auxiliary, R-319-21, approve annual municipal audit report for the year 2020, R-320-21, adopt corrective action plan for the 2020 municipal audit, R-321-21, authorization to execute the shared service agreement with the Elmwood Park Board of Education, school security officers, R-322-21, appointment of Board of Adjustment member, R-323-21, appointment of Board of Adjustment alternate number 1, R-324-21, appointment of Board of Adjustment alternate number 2, R-325-21, rescind duplicative resolution, R-326-21, resolution authorizing the approval for the Borough of Elmwood Park to enter into an employment agreement with the Borough Business Administrator, Michael Foligno, R-327-21, maintenance of 8991 Echo Place, R-328-21, authorize the Elmwood Park Board of Health to conduct activity celebrating and honoring the Elmwood Park senior citizens, and R-329-21, resolution to approve the consent agenda.
Do you need oxygen? You're young, you can do it. May I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Balistrary,
Yes.
Fakori, Fasolo, absent, Golubek,
Are 31121 are related to the clerk's office?
it's related to the two employees in there.
I'll recuse on that item and vote yes to the rest.
Pellegrin,
Yes.
Council President Wetchler.
Okay, I recuse myself on R 299-21 on Harry Wetchler's check, and on R 313-21 on Harry Wetchler's raise, and yes to the rest.
Okay, Mayor, motion carries. That's moving on to departmental reports. We had the library board meeting minutes from June 21st, 2021.
Motion to accept the departmental reports, please.
So moved.
Any discussion? Did we get a second?
Yes, we did, Mayor.
Okay, any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mayor, we could do all in favor?
Okay, I have a choice here.
Oh.
Discussion or all in favor. So you want to go all in favor?
Yeah,
Let's do it.
okay.
Okay. All in favor?
All in favor.
Okay.
That concludes my agenda tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you.
Council reports. Councilwoman Ballesteri?
Sure. Okay, for recreation, this past Tuesday was Classic Motown. Of course, an excellent turnout by our residents. It's just great to see. It was beautiful weather. Next Tuesday, the upcoming last show is The Nerds. So we hope everyone comes out again for that show. Also, the last day of camp and beach barbecue that was on August 13th. I understand they had a really good time, all the campers. And summer camp extended week is in progress, is from 8/16 to the 20th. Summer Jam basketball camp runs the 23rd to the 26th. I was asked to mention this to the mayor and council about the dinner for the 50th anniversary for the softball dinner. This would be on Tuesday, October 5th at 6 o'clock. So for any of the residents also, we could contact Brenda Huffman for tickets. Ticket sales end on September 24th, and donation is $50 per person. And this is at the Venetian, and we hope that many can attend. This will be a great event. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Fakori?
I have nothing to report, Mayor. Progress.
I love that. I love that. The thought here is that when you have nothing to say, don't force it out, and it's much better that way. I love that. Thank you. Councilman. Councilman Golovak. Thank you. Councilwoman Pellegrin.
Yes, I have a few things, Mayor.
Well, you're the exception.
My police update. The last 2 Fridays, our police department had graduation ceremonies for all the participants in this year's Junior Police Academy. In total, 97 students took part in this program and successfully graduated. Again, we thank our police department for such a wonderful program for our youth. Upcoming events. The Community Policing Department will have its final biking event for the summer this Sunday, August 22nd, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Location, Mola Boulevard to Pine Street. Come join them for an afternoon of fun. Next, Elmwood Park versus Garfield Charity Softball Game 2 will be held on August 27th, time 5:45 p.m. Location, Century Field in Garfield. Come and join us to cheer and support our Elmwood Park PD. Next event, Village Block Party and School Supply Giveaway hosted by the Elmwood Park Police Department and our Elmwood Park Recreation Department. Date, August 29th, time 1 to 5 p.m. Location, Mola Boulevard between Elmwood Terrace and 16th Ave. Join us for great food, music, games, and our school supply giveaway. All are invited for a fun afternoon. My Chamber of Commerce update. Yesterday morning, members of our Elmwood Park Chamber of Commerce presented me as their liaison with 2 generous checks, one to the Residents Assistance Program and one to the Vietnam Soldier Memorial. We as the governing body can't thank them enough for their generosity, and we truly appreciate their commitment to our community. And one more. Lastly, on Tuesday evening, I had the opportunity to attend our concert series, Classic Motown, at our Recreation Center. The music was great, and the weather was absolutely perfect on Tuesday night. It was great to see our residents enjoying the night. Progress, Mayor.
Thank you, Lorraine. Council President Wetchler.
I'd like to congratulate the police officers that were moved up tonight. It's great to have them. They're special people. They're special angels in our town. And each and every one of our police officers are one special person. Our Police Academy, I attended both ceremonies. Mike, it was fantastic to see 80 students the first time, 19 the second time. Let me tell you, that's fantastic. And I thank the parents for letting their kids come out, and I'm glad that each and every one of our police officers showed our youth that they can walk to them and ask them anything. They're there to help them, not to be afraid of them. If they need help, they know where to go. Any police officer will stop and talk to anybody. And a great time, like I said, for our students, and I want to thank you again, Mike, and the police officers. Progress.
Thank you. Well, obviously, we spend a lot of time on the community, the involvement with our community, and also the relationship with our police department, which I think is very, very important, profound even, especially with the current situation in the nation. We're doing just the opposite. We're making sure that there's no division between our public and our police department. And that takes a lot of time, consideration, and having the right people in order to pull this off, and we're doing it. Many events have been taking place with the events committee. Another hurrah goes out to them. Once again, they're not walkers, they're talkers. They get things done as opposed to talking about it and not having anything done. And the summer concerts, as has been depicted up here this evening, have worked out very well. I would think all of them so far. The first one was a rain out with ABBA. We didn't get to see ABBA, but the attendance just grew each and every week. Our final concert is this Tuesday evening. The Nerds. I don't know about that name, but I heard they're a pretty good group. I'm looking forward to seeing them. And Michael, did you ever hear them, Mike?
Yes, I did, Mayor. They're excellent.
Excellent. Okay, I'll be there, nerdy or not, I'll be there. And that's all I have to say. So let's move on here, Aaron. And I need a motion to open to the floor for public comments.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I got that right, I think. Anyone from the ordinance care to speak on any topic that was discussed this evening? Now's your chance. You come. We're going to do it orderly. You come forth. You give us your name, your address, and we'll take it from that point. And direct your questions to me, please. If I can't answer them, I will refer to the council for an answer.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I live at 14th Avenue. My name is Rosalino Salsa. I live at 14th Avenue, Elmwood Park, New Jersey. We got a couple of issues I want to straighten up. We got a petition, the 2-hour park, that we got a petition which all are signed. Also, I got another issue. Everybody got a ticket at 14th Avenue, except that no 13, no 15, no 16, 2-hour park, all of them. All in 14th Avenue. And also, by the school, they got a clean street. Monday, clean the street, 9 to 12. 9:05, they got a ticket. If they don't move the car, they got a ticket. 14th Avenue, no clean, nobody cleaning the street. Why? There's a police station, discrimination station. I don't know what to tell you. Every time we complain to the mayor, I complain to you, I complain to Mr. Moller. Nobody does nothing except 14th Avenue.
What are you saying, sir, that the street cleaner is not coming up 14th Avenue?
14th Avenue. They come from 14th Avenue by the school, they make you a turn and they go back the other way. Never coming down.
Are there cars parked on the street and that's why they're not coming down?
There's no sign. They park over there. Over there they got a park, no park on Monday. 14th Avenue, down below from the school, got nothing.
Okay.
I want to like the sign to clean up the street, just the way they do on the top. On the bottom, we got nothing. Also, a lot of time I can I can get out of my own driveway. I got pictures. Last time I showed it to you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
And another time I got it before, I lost my phone, otherwise I would have 3 pictures. And during the school hour, I can't even get in it, sometimes I can't even get in my driveway. That's ridiculous.
Here's the thing, just let me stop you there for a moment.
Yes.
I understand the inconvenience, right? But it goes along with living near a school. If there's something we can do about the parking, I'm gonna turn it over to our chief here, who has done the traffic studies. But when you live by a school, there's going to be that kind of disruption for those hours that the school's in session.
No. They park right by my driveway. A lot of time I can't.
Oh, they shouldn't be in your driveway. I agree with that.
I called the police department. I'm the black sheep in the block. I have to put it that way. I called the police department. There's a car blocking me. Police officer block a woman. She came and said, "Oh, you can't get out." I can get out. You get out. This is my key. Yeah. Oh, you can manage to get out. I took a picture. I went to the police department. I was, the cops. I don't know who was. I forgot. I don't know who was the chief police. I don't know who was. He came. He followed me. No, it was he. He followed me. He showed the. You see the car, they give a ticket. I said, see, why the police woman, she don't give a ticket, then you give a ticket? Law is a law. Is it not even, it's 2 feet, 3 feet away from the driveway? Obey the law.
Okay, so would you like our chief to respond to some of that?
Sure,
Okay, Mike,
I showed the picture the other day. Last week when I was there, I showed the picture.
Michael?
Yes, Mayor. So, sir, I'll respond to that first. Police officers have discretion when it comes to issuing a summons. The officer that you dealt with didn't feel like the violation warranted a summons in that case. The police officers have discretion. They don't have to issue a summons for every violation that they witness. The officer that came to your home did not feel that violation warranted a summons in that case. The driveway was passable, the car can get out.
Excuse me, they blocked my driveway. That is true, I should say.
No, I saw the picture, it wasn't, I'm not here to debate that with you. You could get the car out, the bumper was partially into your driveway. That's the officer's discretion. I don't want to see the picture, sir.
You want everybody wants to.
You could show them whatever you want to show them.
No, we
Show 'em whatever you wanna
believe
show
you. I think what we have to do is listen to each other and not, listen to what each other is saying.
No one can force the officer to write a violation, not even me as the chief. That's their discretion, whether they want to write a summons or not. The officer chose not to write a summons in that situation. Getting back to your issues with the parking, your block, we did a petition. I'll read you the results, okay? 6 residents want to repeal the timed parking restrictions. 2 residents want to keep the timed parking restrictions, and 26 residents want to keep the timed parking restrictions and add a stipulation of stickers for homeowners, an option not provided in the survey. So I don't think the council is going to approve sticker parking on any individual street in Elmwood Park. I feel that is not even constitutional. We can't tell people that they can't park on a specific street in our borough, and that would be a question for the attorney. Speed survey. I believe your dog was struck by a vehicle?
Yes,
So we did a speed survey.
it was 50 feet, it got a reckless driver ticket.
Right. So,
Excuse me, one of us want to be a home man or little kids, because they don't stop at a stop sign.
So-
But still they don't stop.
okay.
We don't live there, but we do.
I live in town my whole life, sir, so I understand what happens in town.
I understand, but you don't live in that street. Sometimes they go from Route 4, Route 4, one-way street, and they go to the school. Couple of times.
Okay.
More than a couple of times.
So what we did was we put flashing lights on your stop signs. Did you see that? We also painted the stop bar and we planted stop in the street, right?
They don't stop.
Okay.
If you put a police car there, once in a while,
I wish we had the resources to stick a police car on every stop sign in every town, on every block. We did enforcement there and the neighbors went ballistic because they don't want summonses issued to their cars for parking.
it's a problem, we should stop. Also, I would like to say the speed bump. You can't do it, can't afford. That's the life of the kids or the life of the woman is more.
So let me finish, okay? The speed survey we did for 2 weeks. 1 week with the radar unit off, so some people's contention is the only reason the cars aren't speeding is because they see the sign. The sign was in the off position, but it still records, okay? And then the second week, we had the sign on. Here's the results, ready? 14,000 vehicles over 13 days, all right? Average daily volume, 1,075 cars. Average speed, 14.89 miles per hour, okay? Total violation for us to write a ticket would be 10 miles over the speed limit. 35 miles an hour in a 25. 8 out of 14,000 vehicles violated that speed. 8 out of 14,000 vehicles. That tells me there is not a speeding problem on that block. That doesn't mean that cars speed from time to time. On every street, they speed from time to time. But when you have 8 cars out of 14,000 going 10 miles over the speed limit, that to me does not warrant a police officer sitting on that block wasting a resource, because that doesn't indicate to me that there's a problem there. Okay? So an average violation occurred 1 out of every 1,746 vehicles. So I don't believe that there's a speeding issue on that block. I believe that vehicles speed in Elmwood Park. I believe that. But I don't believe we have a speeding epidemic on 14th Avenue.
They don't even stop when they stop sign. That's what I'm saying.
We just enhanced the whole area, right? With flashing lights, painted the street. I don't know what else you would like us to do. I've had the traffic officers there doing enforcement. We can't be everywhere every time. With regard to your timed parking, I don't think you guys on that street are on the same page, because some of the people don't want it and some of the people do want it. We don't like to go and enforce it because we're punishing our own residents, but when we get a complaint, we respond and we enforce it.
Once you show the signed petition, you got a copy over here.
I have the results here. I have everything in front of me.
They want to stick. If the gentleman here, no driveway, and no no driveway and no garage. He gets ticket. It's right here.
He got a ticket because, I don't know who called, but somebody called and said the cars aren't moving. So we went and marked the tires, and we issued summonses to the violators.
Excuse me. If the guy is a resident, he lives in there.
He can't violate the law because he's a resident.
Let me finish. He's living, now, no driveway, no garage. Where are you gonna put the car?
So we can't do selective enforcement. We can't say it's okay for him to break the law because he lives there. Understand?
The police office, before he writes the ticket, he knows what the car is. He knows what the owner is.
So the officer can knock on the door and ask him to move it, right? But he doesn't have to.
Not to do is knock on the door, but he can get.
So what you're saying is you want him to write the tickets to the people that don't live in town, and the people that live in town shouldn't get a ticket for the same violation. That's called selective enforcement. That's illegal.
I don't understand. If I don't have no car, where am I gonna put the car? In my pocket? If you don't have no driveway, I have no parking space, where am I gonna put the car?
And we offered to remove the 2-hour parking limitations.
Excuse me, gentlemen, we do have a 10-minute law. We have a lot of people that have to speak.
The guy, the person living there, let's say I live in there. I don't have the park space facilities. Where am I gonna put my car? Why I should get the car, the ticket, why I should come every time to fight for the ticket, which I don't have no place to put the car, so no driveway, no garage.
So then we should repeal the 2-hour parking limitation, is what you're saying?
Why gonna repeal?
Because he has no driveway.
You can't select it. You're not listening to what he's saying. You can't be selective and just say, this works for you, doesn't work for the other person. That's discrimination.
People from the apartment, they park at our street. Because they got a park space, but they don't wanna pay.
Right.
They got a garage, they don't wanna pay. They got a park on the street. We can have sometimes, they got, I gotta go, this car.
Well, does the car stay in one spot for 48 hours, Mike, before that?
No, what he's talking about on his block is there's 2-hour parking limitations during certain hours.
Right.
So if the vehicle doesn't move for 2 hours, it can be issued a summons.
Then you can issue a summons, yeah. Okay. Listen, we're doing all we could within the law. And to be
Another one, I'm
fair-
sorry to interrupt you, Mayor, but we also sent a letter to the Board of Education and to 16th Avenue School and ordered them to keep all of their employees' vehicles on the footprint of their property and not to park on the streets. That was just sent out last week. We just sent the letter a few days ago for the upcoming school year. There's no school in session right now. Okay.
Yeah.
We sent them a letter advising them not to do that.
This problem persists throughout the whole town. We have this problem. We try to cure it within the bounds of the law. Case in point, I live over on Route 46 on the Garfield side. There's people who come in front of my house on the side street, park their cars, and go to work into New York and get the bus. What am I going to do? We can't stop them from parking on the street. Well, that's a whole different.
That's what we want. We want the stick. We pay the tax, we want the stick. This way we know the cops in the office.
Well, does your petition state that that's what you're seeking? Because that would be something, there should be a letter with that petition backing it.
Every other town they got a stick, and no one will park.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to tell you the procedure. That would have to be, you'd have to present that case to the mayor and council. And I would include your petition there, thank you, and take it from that point. But I could tell you this, we're hesitant to do that because there is negatives to that also. But let's bring it in front of the council and see what they say. All right? Sorry, I got to conclude this. There's many people here tonight. You've been about 15 minutes up here.
You think we can get the sign to clean up the street on the force station? Because they clean up by the school and down below.
Mike, can we look into
No,
that?
what he's asking is, now you want a sign to restrict parking so they could sweep? You want a restriction to, hold on, you'll have your turn, sir. You want signs to say the people can't park there so the sweeper can come through?
The more they start coming down from the school.
Well, you just finished telling me that the guy has no driveway. Where's he going to park his car? Now we're going to limit parking even more.
Okay, listen, I'm sorry, Monday coming down from one side, and Tuesday, they're coming from the other side. So the guy, no driveway, he's parking.
In order to do that, we have to put signs up that say no parking on Monday between 9 and noon.
And the 2-hour limit goes out the window for that day. Because there can't be no parking on that one side.
But I'm confused because you're telling me that the people have no driveways. So if they can't park on one side of the whole street, where are they going to put their cars?
All right, all right. All right, but sir, I,
Tuesday park on this side, and Tuesday park on the other side. That's the end of the street.
so just on that day, you would void the 2-hour parking limit is what he's saying, I think he's saying. Is that correct?
Yeah, Mayor, there's not enough room up there. There's too many vehicles to eliminate parking on one side of the street for 4 hours on a Monday. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
We gotta start another petition then. Okay, gentlemen, ladies. Good enough. Thank you.
Anyone else care to speak? This gentleman doesn't have a driveway? Okay. Okay.
My name is Louis Debsky, I live at 6 14th Avenue. Okay. I speak for myself. I'm the guy without parking or a garage. I'm the only house on the whole street. There's no parking, no driveway, or no garage. Now, obviously, I'm a senior citizen, I got issues with my back. I can't go scouring the neighborhood for available parking space. I should be able to park in front of my own house. I had that issue in 2013 when I bought their house, and I came to the police department, and they assigned me an officer who came to court with me and dismissed the tickets. And then I brought it up to the council, and they said that they took it under consideration and that I shouldn't worry, I won't be ticketed, that officer will read the license, and if they notice that I live right there, they won't issue me a ticket. And I work during the daytime, so obviously I can't move the cars. And,
Are you handicapped, sir?
well, I have a handicap sticker,
Okay,
I have sometimes paying.
okay, I get it. Mike, if he qualifies for a handicap parking space, then the laws of that parking space would supersede any local sign laws. Is that correct? In other words, he would be the exception to the 2-hour rule, the handicap parking space.
I'd have to look into it further, Mayor.
Okay. Why don't we see if we can get that for you and resolve the problem that way?
Yeah, apparently, like, the previous council, what they did, I think they eliminated the 2-hour parking spaces, they covered them up. And everything worked fine, I had no problem until this time. And I tried to make an appointment with the chief, but never got it.
What we're doing is we're taking
Can
a
I
general...
address that, Mayor? I'm not going to have a discussion with residents about a summons that they got. That's for the court to decide. That's why I didn't meet with you, sir.
I don't want to dismiss the thing, I just wanted to talk
Bless
about
you.
what I can do about it in my absence. So,
That's why we did the study on your block, and the people on your block, you guys are not on the same page with this, obviously, right? He's coming up telling a different story than you're telling. We're trying to make the majority happy up there. And I still don't know what the majority wants, because I'm confused still even by the study.
Okay.
So you guys need to get on the same page on the street, present to us what the majority wants, and then I'm sure the council will take that into consideration and act on it.
Right, and I suggest to you, sir... Okay. Okay, but I would suggest for your individual case, being that you are somewhat handicapped, if not handicapped, also the fact that you don't have no driveway and you have no garage, this seems to be the avenue of least resistance to resolving your problem. So what does he need to do, Mike, in order to qualify for that parking?
He has to get a note from a doctor, a letter from a doctor saying that he's handicapped, and it has to be sent to Division of Motor Vehicle.
Okay, so listen to what he's saying, and he'll break it down for you.
Yep. So if you give me your phone number offline, we'll talk for a minute, and I'll have the traffic officer reach out to you and walk you through the steps of applying for a handicap space in front of your home. All right?
Thank you, sir.
Don't go. Hold on.
Anyone else care to speak? Yes, that fellow Whitehead coming forward. Is that mic on?
It is. Can you repeat your name? I'm sorry. Fr- And your address? Thank you.
As far as the sweeper, I'll try to help you on that one. The sweeper does do the apartments on one side on Monday, Tuesday the other side. He does turn around and go right back down the other side because that's where he's supposed to be that day. On Thursdays, he does do 14th Ave, 13th, 14th, 15th, if he's working. He does come through. So our street does get done.
Okay, just for the record, because this is getting confusing. You're saying the sweeper does sweep the streets,
On Thursday, he comes
contrary to what the other gentleman said, your neighbor up the block.
about, because the signs are up there on Monday and Tuesday, that he does the apartments and swings right back around and does just there.
Okay. But my question is the street getting swept?
Yes, on Thursdays.
Thursdays if he's in.
Okay, continue, I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. As far as the parking, that petition you got with the names on it, was like 80% of the people on the block are in favor of leaving the signs up, but they want a sticker they can put in their car so we don't get the ticket.
Yeah, that
Can we do that, Mike?
we can't do.
Sal?
Why we can't get a sticker, you got parking down by the railroad tracks.
The attorney.
I'm sorry, but there is no way that the police department or the borough or anyone in the council can authorize just the particular block to have stickers so that they don't get a ticket. It's either going to be done the whole borough or none, because you can't have just selective enforcement, which is illegal.
All right, so if we can't get stickers, is there any reason why a police officer comes up, runs the plate in his car and realizes the person lives there and then they don't get a ticket?
Isn't
By
that,
law, as the chief stated before, police officers have discretion of issuing a ticket or not issuing a ticket. But they're not going to be required to, and it would be improper for them to start checking license plates and start knocking on doors. Or just because that particular vehicle is violating the law and it's the person that's living there, that they can close their eyes and not enforce the law. Okay?
Right, so to piggyback off of what the attorney said, it would be illegal for me to issue an order to my police department and say, run the plate when you go to 14th Ave. If it's a resident's car, do not issue a summons. I'll lose my job over that. That's illegal. I can't issue that order. I can suggest that you give a courtesy to residents when you feel it to be necessary under your discretion, but I can't force it. And some officers choose to give the courtesy, and some officers don't. That's their prerogative.
One other thing, I would like to thank you for setting up the radar on East 54th Street. It's been working when they're there. You know when you're there because the car's up by us, going slow. It's not there, they're right back at it. Is there any way we can send UPS drivers a little note, slow down, because in the evening, they don't go to Middle Ave, they go down 14th Ave?
Sure. We can call their supervisors and let them know that their trucks are speeding. But what I could tell you is we got a lot of complaints about speeding there, and we did a lot of radar, and we did a 2-week campaign of education and warnings. Then we did an enforcement campaign, and I could tell you this, guess who the violators are?
Residents,
There you go.
they deserve the ticket.
And they got them, lots of them. But I can't afford to have an officer there 24/7. So the minute we're not there, a day or two later, it starts up again. So we'll do it when we can, and, that's the best I could give you right now.
Like I said, you know when they're down there doing radar. They come down off of Route 4, they hit that sign on 14th, 16th, stop for pedestrians and crosswalk. They slow down for that sign because that's stop for pedestrian. cars go around them. One of these days, somebody's gonna get hit. I can stand out in the corner, try to cross the street, maybe 1 out of 10 cars will stop for you. The other ones fly around the other cars, around us, taking care of it.
Right.
I mean, I understand the signs are from the state, but somebody's gonna get hurt counting those signs.
So your recommendation is we remove the pedestrian signs?
It shouldn't say stop, maybe yield, but when people see the stop sign on it,
Yeah.
not familiar,
Mhm.
they stop and everybody goes behind them, blows the horns, pass them up, go around them. It's gonna,
So you're saying they're stopping when there's no pedestrian?
yes,
Hmm.
yeah.
Interesting.
And they're constantly just blowing horns. When are they gonna have somebody seriously hurt, hit in the back? You ought to hear it living up there, the horn. It's unbelievable.
Right. We'll take a look at it. I mean, those are approved signs by the
By the state,
state.
I know I go out and complain when they're paving the road.
Yep.
Because handicap sidewalks and the signs went up.
Right. All right, we'll take a look at it.
All right.
Yep.
And about the parking from the apartments down by us, when it snows, the town goes up there and plows on the days that they're not parked,
Right.
clears it back. The first time those signs were parked on one side of the street one day, on the other side of the street the next day, they came by and plowed down by us, plowed it back. Because we have cars that park from the apartments by us, snows into the middle of the road because they dug out their car and keep that parking space. They're from the apartments, and we have to suffer with the snow into the middle of the road. DPW came back, they did it 1 year, plowed that snow back. That was the end of that. We have never seen them again.
Okay. Well, if that happens again, just call my office and we'll send a DPW up there with a bucket loader and remove the snow.
All right, thank you.
All right?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else care to speak from the public on any subject that might be of their liking?
Jeffrey Freitag, 35 Hillman Drive. There was a special meeting this past Monday.
Yes, there was.
Okay, what was the meeting regarding? Because I didn't see the advertisement or anything like that.
Mike, would you like to define that? I wasn't here myself.
The-
I was on
the
vacation.
special
Aaron can
note-
speak on that.
Yes, the special notice was transmitted to the newspapers 48 hours in advance as required by law. There wasn't enough time for it to be published, and the special notice was also posted.
Was it just one resolution or something?
It was just one resolution.
At a meeting, I believe it was the last meeting, I mentioned about a property where Sincoat Paint was.
Yeah, that's the DEP doing a cleanup.
Oh, the ones that have their trucks parked in there?
DEP.
Because the trucks are from Garfield.
Maybe they have a subcontract? I don't know. It's the DEP. We checked on it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, R 29221, which is ordinance 21-17, the first reading. Is that a change or is that an addition to 3459.1? Site plan review. Going to the zoning board for review and approval.
Do we have any knowledge on his question?
I believe that would be best.
The question again, I'm sorry? Which one was it?
Okay, it's ordinance 2117. It's resolution 292-21.
The warehouse square footage.
Mr. Fartley, what's the question again?
Is it a change or is it an addition?
To what?
Currently, the planning board does.
To what? What's it a change to? It's an ordinance on the first reading.
Right, and it's a site, it says here, amending municipal code 34-59.1, site plan review to include mandatory application to zoning board for review and approval of warehouse or storage facility construction encompassing 75,000 square feet of
We're amending that, right?
So are you asking if they have to go to the planning board and zoning, or if it's just the zoning now? Because right now it's the planning, so is this making it both, or is it changing it just to zoning as opposed to planning? That's the question.
It's
this application to zoning board, currently to planning board.
Yeah. It's an ordinance
Right.
which will
The title
establish,
says zoning, he's right.
if once approved down the line, that any construction of any warehouse
Right.
that exceeds 75,000 square feet will
Right.
have to be subjected to a variance application before the zoning board.
Okay, so it
So
makes a
you, as
variance.
the planning board,
Right. We would
the
only,
planning board, you will have to look at it and
Right.
comment on it. It's gonna come before you for, and when I say you, meaning you're the chairman.
yeah, right.
It's going to come before the planning board for comment and consideration of how it affects, if anything.
So it'll end up going to both.
Eventually, yes.
Right, because it would normally go directly to the zoning if
It would-
it was
it would
for
go-
a use variance.
Yes.
With the plan, with the site plan.
Exactly, except in this particular instance, because it's changing the zoning aspect in the borough, it's the planning board who has to review it and make comment on it. Then eventually, if ever approved, then any kind of application for structures which exceed the 75,000 square feet
Right.
would have to go before the planning board for a B variance.
Okay. Just one thing. I'm a little clouded about something regarding the second reading of the marijuana/cannabis ordinance. Why was there not permitted at this meeting, I heard your explanation,
That's why.
at the second reading?
It was done already.
Okay, so this is a second reading.
I guess with the amending of it, it's not necessary, or I guess our legal can speak.
There was an initial adoption,
Right.
and the matter was referred to the planning board.
Right, that was on the 14th and then the 15th.
On the 15th, there was a reintroduction of it because there were some changes made as a result of issues regarding the insurance carrier. They made recommendations to the ordinance.
And the numbers.
No, they did not.
Yeah, the numbers went to 2 and 2. And they have been 2, 2, and 2. Number
They-
one,
The planning board is the one who made the recommendation of changing it from 2 to 1.
I'm losing stuff here.
So-
All right, follow me.
The first ordinance that when it was introduced, the first time, reading number 1, had 2 cultivation, I believe it was, there were six
It's
altogether.
always 2, 2, 2.
And 2.
Always.
Now it's 2, 2. As
Always. It hasn't changed.
it went down from 6 to 4 total.
No. What we eliminated was 2 things. One, for the purposes of the insurance aspect. The initial ordinance that was prepared and introduced the first time addressed and that it failed to address and eliminate delivery service in town. The insurance carrier,
Okay, so it did have 2. 1.
no, it didn't address it at all. If you don't, well, the thing that came about is when you don't have the exclusion of a delivery service in town, the insurance carrier realized that by statute, by law, we would have had to exclude it, otherwise it would have been included, if not mentioned. Okay? That is why we had to reintroduce the ordinance, eliminating, and specifically stating that delivery services in town would be excluded. So because of that, and there was a substantial change to the ordinance, it had to be reintroduced again, and that's what the hearing was again. So it had two hearings already, two public hearings.
This is number 3.
This is number 3.
Okay. One thing, just to clarify. If it was banned, as had been requested at hearing number 1, in public comment, not as part of, it was a comment on the first reading, then it would have reverted, and you could change it then after that, in that 5 years following.
Well, you couldn't. That's the problem.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm mixed up.
Well, I mean,
League of Municipalities says you can. Patterson right now is doing that, but you're saying they can't.
no. What I'm telling you is that if that ordinance would have been adopted without the exclusion of that delivery service, then you could not have amended it later on, because anyone would have been able to qualify ahead of time.
Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. Yeah, we're misunderstanding one another. I'm saying if you were to, after reading 1, there was a suggestion by a person from the town that about banning outright. That was a particular choice that could be made. And in banning everything outright, then on August the 21st, and subsequent to that, over that 5-year period following that,
Correct.
you then can institute what you wish to.
Yes.
And make changes.
Absolutely.
Right, so that was a choice.
That was a choice.
Okay, because and you're not the only one, there was a lot of feelings about, it was mentioned even in our planning board meeting, and it was not clear.
Let me maybe clarify, okay? This particular statute that was passed by the voters, that approved the introduction and legalization, was presented by the state legislature, signed by the governor. And even today, they are also as confused about it as everybody else. Okay?
Right, but Elmwood Park knows. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that, though.
Clarify what?
That if it was banned during that 5-year period following August 21st on, then the community can make any changes or any.
Mr. Fragdell,
Go ahead.
maybe you're not listening to what I'm saying to you, okay? Perhaps, maybe I'm not explaining myself correctly. But let me try again.
Mr. Alampi had explained it last time he was here. He was here tonight, right? And he left.
Yeah, you're right. And what I'm trying to tell you is, by statute, enacted by the legislature, the municipality had 2 choices. One, to introduce an ordinance banning cannabis, period. Okay? So that later on, past August 21st, they could turn around after 5 years, introduce any kind of ordinance that will be acceptable to the borough. Okay? That was an option.
But not during the 5 years.
No, you can't.
Okay. I'm not going to even talk about it because it's,
Anything else, Jeff?
no, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak? Yes, Dominic, I believe. Yeah, just barely.
Dominic Scalzione, 120 East 54th Street. And I wanted to thank the mayor and council for organizing and supporting the August 28th vaccine clinic. We had 32 adults and children vaccinated. In particular, I wanted to thank Councilwoman.
1 meeting, please. Thank you. Go ahead, Dominic.
To thank Councilwoman Lorraine Pellegrin, who's a liaison to the Board of Health, Marlene Stefano, who's the Board of Health Registrar, and Chief Oligno for sending out mixing messages and posting messages on the signboard. Perhaps we can do this again at some point, especially with the upcoming booster shots, that I wanted to mention is that it was reported in the press within the last few days that 60% of the police have received COVID vaccination. And looking at the overall population of Elmwood Park, our senior citizens, by the way, over 85%, which is better than 20 of the, at least 20 communities in South Bergen. And then the other percentages are over 70%. So the number 60% for our police force doesn't really look that good since it's below what the community is. So I wondered if you had any plans or you would care to comment on this. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening.
Okay, thank you, Dominic, for that update. That's surely very important numbers, something that we have to stay on. Anyone else care to speak from the public? If not, I will close the public portion. And I do believe we need to go into executive, so I'm going to ask for a motion to go back. We don't have, we covered everything?
No, we're good.
Look at the smiles on their face. They said that we're done, we're done. Okay, with that, then I need a motion to adjourn. You have to be sitting down in order for that to count.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I do that while I travel.
Wait a minute.